I'm not going to hold on because I'm going to shit on what you just said because it's wrong. This is like saying, this is
5
like a
minutes,
Confederate.
and
Oh
then
my
you
God.
just
Oh
mute.
yeah. So you're scared of me rebuting what you're saying. I'm actively
I just
rebuting
wish I
what you
could
just
finish a
said.
thought on this.
I'm
on this
actively
conversation.
rebuting what you just said. You're just scared. You
I
said,
just
well,
wish
it's been this way for so long, therefore it should continue to be this way. And what if a Confederate said that about American slavery? I'm not going to hold on because I'm going to shit on what you just said because it's wrong. This is like saying, this is like a Confederate. Oh my God. Oh yeah. So you're scared of me rebuting what you're saying. I'm actively
I
rebuting
just wish I
what you
could
just
finish a
said.
thought on this.
I'm
on this
actively
conversation.
rebuting what you just said. You're just scared. You
I
said,
just
well,
wish
it's been this way for so long, therefore it should continue to be this way. And what if a Confederate said that about American slavery? Slavery's just been legal for so long. Should it just continue to stay legal? No, okay? You can't just say that something should be the case in the future because it already has been the case in the past. So I just want to clarify your two and only counter arguments to my position on immigration are not, it's ridiculous, and it has been this way, therefore it should be this way. Do you have anything of substance?
Well, I guess you're the one who should be asking. You are advocating for an immigration policy that no other country in the history of humanity has had. And I'm the one that has to defend that ludicrous position. You are the one advocating for foreigners to come to your country, which no one has ever done really, besides, modern Democrats. You're advocating for foreigners to come and be able to compete in your own market for your own jobs, your own housing. That is ridiculous. And the fact that I have to say what's wrong with your immigration stance when you're the one who has a completely asymmetrical view on immigration compared to any human being in any government in the history of humanity shows how ridiculous your point is. No one historically agrees with you. So you are the one who has to say, why is it good that we do this? Because they pay $100 billion in tax? There are other consequences and other realities to allowing 10 million people in or 20 million people to become citizens other than just the taxes they pay. So I think you're just being disingenuous in your conversation. But
Okay,
again,
so no, don't run away because literally your only argument was that a lot of people disagree with you. Hey, I have a question. Insofar as up to 500 years ago, 90% of humans alive thought that child marriage was okay and that the earth was
you talk
flat.
about child
So
marriage so much.
I'm gonna go ahead and have you stop interrupting me.
You like child marriage. You're always
5,
talking about it.
4, 3. What? Oh,
You're always
dude's lost
talking
the
about
argument.
it. You're always comparing. Oh, what about
Dude,
child
dude's
marriage?
fucking lost the argument. Dude's absolutely lost the plot. Sir, I'm gonna have to have you calm down here real quick. 5, I was in the middle of giving my argument. I understand that I'm dunking on you right now, and so you feel like you gotta get real mad and angry and interrupt and say that Dean likes child marriage. Like, dude, come on, bro. Come on, bro. You're showing your cards too much. You're showing your frustration. You're showing that you've lost the debate.
It's your go.
Just calm. Okay, we need to give him a moment. We let him finish speaking, and then I started responding to him, and then he just started freaking out. Come on, man. Calm down. Let me finish speaking, okay? You've been like, you've whined a couple times that I haven't let you speak, and then you think that you could just interrupt me and say I like child marriage? Calm down, okay, sir? Now, thank you. I'm going to go back to my argument. Act your age. You're like twice as old as me, acting like a kid.
I'm 21, bro. I don't know what you're talking.
You're 21, then Jesus Christ, those years hit hard. I barely believe it. Anyways, going back to what I was gonna say.
You seen your hairline, bro? What are you talking about?
I have seen my hairline's fine. That's not even the issue.
The bald spot.
The balding, okay, isn't on the hairline. It's on the crown. If you knew your damn right from your left, let's be so real here. Now, going back to what I was going to say, because I'm here trying to debate about politics, and you want to talk about my hairline and accuse me of liking child marriage?
You're talking about my voice,
down,
so I'm going to talk about...
God, you're doing it. Just calm down. Okay, I'm going to do the whole spam mute thing while I'm talking because you don't have any self-control. I hate doing it. I hate this, man. Just act your age and we won't have to do this. Thank you. Melvi, thank you for this one. I'm going to go back to what I was saying now. Thank you very much. So I gave you my position. I was like, let's reform the legal processes of migration, make them safer, make them more efficient, and make them easier. As well as, I think that for any undocumented migrant in our country that has not committed a violent crime, they should be offered a pathway to residency or citizenship because our government has some culpability for the incentivization in which caused them to enter into the country with the use of undocumented means in the first place. And they don't hurt, they only help everybody. You, me, other Americans, the country as a whole, and themselves. I then asked you for an argument against this position. The first argument you gave was saying, nuh-uh. Okay, elementary bullshit. Throw it out the window. The second argument you gave was, it's ridiculous. Rhetoric. Elementary bullshit again. Throw it out the window. The third argument that you gave was, well, we've had different immigration laws for a very long time, therefore we should continue to have different immigration laws in the forward. Logical fallacy. Just because something has been the case doesn't mean it should continue to be the case. Very good employment of this fallacy to demonstrate why it's logically incorrect is a Confederate saying, well, we've had American slavery for a long time, therefore we should continue to have it for a long time as well. Logical
I don't
fallacy.
think you understood the last point.
Let me finish speaking. Logical fallacy. Take it, throw it out.
I don't think you understood the last point.
Allow me to finish. Take it, throw it out the window. And then the last point you made was that, oh, a lot of people disagree with you throughout history. Okay. 500 years ago, 90% of people thought the earth was flat and that child marriage was okay. So if somebody comes around allowing 500 years ago and they're like, the earth is round and child marriage is wrong, is a valid counter-argument to say, well, pretty much everybody throughout all of human history has agreed with me and disagreed with you. Obviously fucking not. So there's your last argument too. Crumple a little ball, throw it out the window. What the fuck are you left with? You have no more points. Try to make a new counter-argument.
Again, the point I made with historical immigration views and current one with every single one of our allies is that there is there's an asymmetry when it comes to how you're applying the logic of immigration, of what it means to be a citizen of a country and the value of citizenship. You say, well, just because we've made it hard for those people to come in legally and they had to come illegally, we should give them the right. But again, the United States is a country that should be serving its own people. So when you ask yourself, people that break the laws of this country to come in illegally, should we enforce the laws that are on the books and that have been on the books forever, that every other country has, because they understand what it means to be a country, that you control who comes in and who's in your country and everything that it comes with by being a country? You have to ask yourself, why is it that you are advocating for an immigration policy that the world has never seen? Taking the value away from citizenship, taking the value away from the historical, cultural context that makes up a nation, and just bring economic units that you think have the right to come just because legally they couldn't because it was too hard for them. So they should come in.
Wait. Why does that take value away from citizenship?
Because citizenship in most countries is not something that's given. Most countries or the process of naturalizing is quite hard. If you want to become a citizen of Germany, you have to give up your previous citizenship in order to become a citizen.
So I just want to clarify. You think that the only issue with allowing undocumented migrants that have not committed violent crimes that productively provide to the economy, help you and me and the country as a whole, is because they just got it too easy and it should be harder, so it's subjectively valued to just in time?
No, it's not. No, of course.
I have a question. So what,
that's not. Wait, you asked me a question.
I have a question. Sure, but
just
add on like one other part to that.
Sure.
Do you think with like every new American that is born in American hospitals around the country that the proportional value of citizenship falls because it was not hard for you to become a citizen? It was not hard for me to become a citizen? Yeah, respond to those two things. You're getting wiped. I'm having fun. Continue. You know how to unmute your mic? You know how to do it? Click on that profile picture.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Didn't realize I was
Respond to those 2 points, please.
Yeah, my apologies. Again, sorry, I don't know what I just said a lot and I was muted, so I don't know where I was.
Okay, I got you up. You're just like, if we were to allow pathways to residency or citizenship for undocumented.
No,
Okay, one moment. You're like, oh, it takes value away from citizenship. I ask you why. You're like, okay, well, because it's supposed to be really hard to get it.
Yes, but again, okay, I can answer.
One moment. And you're like, the harder it is to get something, the more valuable said thing is. And then that's when I was like, so you really can't acknowledge or quantify any harm or negative consequence that offering pathways to residency or citizenship to undocumented migrants that haven't committed violent crimes would cause. In fact, I could even quantify positive consequences. But the only reason you disagree with it is because because you think it subjectively decreases the value that citizenship holds, right?
That's part of it. And also, The fact is that if there is a law in place and people are circumventing that law, those people should not be allowed to become citizens when their first act was to break our immigration laws, which dictate how they have to enter the country. So if their first act while entering the country was to do it by illegal means, I'm sorry, but that is not the sort of person that should be given citizenship.
Okay,
We have a
so if
law.
somebody comes in through illegal port of migration into our country and the first act they do is jaywalk across a road in Texas, should they be, stripped of their legal entry into America?
Illegal or legal, you mean?
Yeah, someone enters in legally and the first act they do is to jaywalk across a road in Texas. Should they be
Judges in the
deported?
United States oftentimes don't count jaywalking as probable cause anymore, so it's a moot point.
Well, I mean, well, just let's assume that jaywalking's a crime. Their first act was a crime. Should they be deported just like the undocumented migrant who you said can be justifiably deported because their first act was a crime?
No, I'm not saying that. You're confusing your terms now. The reason why I'm mentioning the illegal point is that I don't think someone who does that should then be allowed to become a citizen when the first thing they did was break an immigration law. They should not be given the privileges of those who did not break immigration law when the first thing they did, the first laws they broke, were immigration laws. I think that the fact that you're trying to compare this to a legal migrant jaywalking is ridiculous. And you can say that I just call things ridiculous, but objectively, the comparison is absurd.
Why? I mean, seriously. First act
Okay,
is a
so
crime. Well, let's just
an
assume that it's
immigrant,
asylum seeker that has to show up to court in a week to get their legal process of their legal claim of asylum process. Judge figures out their first act in the country was the misdemeanor or crime of jaywalking. Should they be denied their claim of asylum?
um, again, judges don't use jaywalking as anything for probable cause. They wouldn't do that. That's ridiculous. But you're confusing
Exactly. It's fucking
jaywalking.
ridiculous.
No,
This is
because
just. It's absolutely
you're confusing
fucking
jaywalking with
ridiculous.
immigration law. Obviously they're different. There's unaliving someone and breaking immigration law are also different, but they're both laws. But the whole point is to an immigrant who wants to go to the United States, the laws that should be most important are the ones that allow them to go. If you're an immigrant and want to go legally, what visas do I need? What laws do I need to follow to go? And if your first act as an immigrant is to break immigration laws, you do not merit getting an American citizenship. This is obviously ridiculous. And you
Well,
can
no,
say,
I think that what your statement is obviously ridiculous when the government of said country that is governing said immigration laws has been intentionally and purposefully neglecting said immigration laws, making
of
it
course, because you
harder for
don't
the
need those
undocumented
people.
migrants
I'm
to
sorry,
get
you
into
don't.
our country over all of modern American history, with the most infamous example of our now president, Donald J. Trump, intentionally torpedoing a good bill for immigration laws under the last presidency, man. Like, holy fucking shit. It's ridiculous. It truly is. It truly is, man. Truly is, quite frankly. I'll give you like a good example. I'll give you a great example. So let's just say that we live in Pennsylvania, where if you drive a car, you gotta get it tested for emissions once a year. You know what I mean? You gotta make sure that the emissions are okay. That is the legal necessity that you must meet. Now let's assume we get a new governance over Pennsylvania, and they restrict all but one emission testing site, and they slow the process down tenfold where they can only process one person every month. Okay, at that point, in order for you to get your car's emissions tested, you'd have to specifically seek out the one site and wait in line for like 3 years. Now, if you don't do this, you'll get charged with a misdemeanor. If you're caught. Now, just allow me to finish. Get charged with a misdemeanor if you're caught. And let's just say that this happens to a couple million people. A couple million people decided that they need to use that car to go to work, to provide for them and their family, to increase their quality of life. And over the years, they're paying taxes and they're providing to our GDP, even though, right, they never got their car tested for emissions because of their shit poor emission testing laws in the state of Pennsylvania. And then would you find it justified to say, well, everybody that was burdened via those poor emission testing regulations should simply not be charged with said misdemeanor, should not face any consequences, because instead we are going to revise and fix the poor emission testing regulation, because those individuals have been very good productive providers into our economy. They haven't done anything in which I would consider to be morally wrong, and they're merely making their lives better, the lives of their children better, and the life of you and me better.
Yeah, again, when you think about emissions laws in this example, They are done by the people of Pennsylvania to determine how the cars in Pennsylvania function and where they go to be tested and everything of this sort. So if that affects cars that are not in Pennsylvania, if it affects Guatemalan cars, well, yeah, I'm sorry. Whether they are in Pennsylvania or not, if they want to complain. But the idea that, oh, well, the reason why people come here illegally is because they can't come here legally. The sort of people we bring in legally and the sort of people that come here illegally are not the same sort of immigrant. The ones that come illegally are far less educated, they have far less money. Obviously, we prefer an immigration system that brings in migrants that have more money, which is part of our immigration process. The same with students. If a foreign student wants to come, you need to show how much money your family has. That is an immigration system that I would subscribe to far more than this idea that we should allow the poorest of the poor to come here because they'll work for less and, fill out jobs or something. I think it's obviously just ridiculous. And this comparison, I just, it's just ridiculous. The whole thing is absolutely absurd. And you can say, all I say it's absurd.
Okay, so to recognize and affirm the fact that undocumented migrants are 2 times less likely to commit violent crimes on average than American citizens.
Which is why I've never brought up the crime
Don't
argument.
interrupt me. And now you recognize and affirm the fact that undocumented migrants pay $100 billion into federal, state, and local taxes per year, paying more than they take out. And you recognize and affirm the fact that undocumented migrants positively provide and impact our American GDP. And if they were to be deported from our country, growth in our GDP would slim. Alongside, you recognize and affirm the fact that it costs close to $200 billion just to deport them on their own. But you just don't think they should be in our country because
what would be
they're poor?
What would be the decrease in GDP per capita? Because GDP would obviously decrease.
You think that they're fucking poor? No, answer my question. So I just want to clarify. You recognize and affirm all of those good things that undocumented migrants do for America. You recognize and affirm that they're only here to do a good thing for themselves and their families. And you recognize and affirm that you cannot qualify one thing, right, in which they impact harm on you, me, or America as a whole. But you merely just don't think that they should be allowed in our country because they have less money?
No, again, you're very good at pointing out some ridiculous thing I said in terms of, trying to change what I say and take one sliver of it and try to use it as the main point as what I said.
No, the entire substance of the last no. The entire substance of your last statement was literally they're less educated, they have less money, they shouldn't be here. We want the people with more money, the more education, I almost felt as if you're about to say good ones.
Well, in a way, it is a more selective process. The United States should prefer immigrants that are educated over those that are not educated, obviously. And if you think, well, we have many jobs that do not require education that, frankly, people with educations won't take. Well, frankly, we have a 2.2 million prison population. We can use some of those people for that sort of work. We do not need to import hordes of third worlders to fill in jobs that Americans don't want to work. I think it's a ridiculous proposition.
Yeah, you're so fucking disgusting. See, so I just want to let you know. So when you research more into immigration, when you research more insofar as the impact of undocumented migrants on our country, on our economy, on the quality of life for the average American, and then you talk to people like this guy, and you're able to get past all of the surface level arguments, like how he brought up, like harm, it's not good for the country. No, it is fucking good for the country. Value of citizenship. That argument fell to fucking shit, but then what does it always reduce down to? Just racism. Mass fucking off.
Did I say racist? Did I say?
Yeah, you just call these individuals third worlders that aren't educated with no money. You fucking racist. You mask off, blatant xenophobia, blatant racism, abso-fucking-lutely.
Is there such a thing as a third?
10%. No, there's not such a thing as a third worlder.
Thank
you so much for clarifying.
Developing nation, my bad.
Thank you so much for clarifying. There's no such thing as a third worlder. Thank you. So I just want to qualify, with all these terms that you're throwing at undocumented migrants, Gabby, thank you for the galaxy, really trying to demonize them, make them bad people. Name one way that they negatively impact America on the macro scale.
They suppress wages, and you seem to agree with that point.
Do it. And I've already offered you the solution to this. Okay, the way
You still
is
agree with
to
you
the
still
way
you
is to now a moment. The way is
still
to
against
offer
illegal.
now a moment. The way is to offer undocumented migrants in our country pathways to residency or citizenship, so they have more bargaining power in the marketplace, so they could get fair wages, man. And by the way, the reason you say undocumented migrants getting lower wages is a negative thing is because it negatively impacts the economy, right? In contrast to getting fair wages, right? So, in other words, if I can make a contrast between two relevant options, one bumps the economy more than the other, all of a sudden the one that bumps the economy less is a negative bad thing.
Do you
So
think
now let's
legal?
consider these two relevant alternatives. Offering undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship to provide more than they are now to the economy, or deporting them out of our country, spending close to 200 billion so they provide nothing to our economy. Which one provides to the economy less?
Obviously the one with fewer people and
Mass
confusion.
deportation. That's
But
right. That's right. It's the mass deportation, which, under your own logic, we should both consider to be a negative thing.
I think I think you're obfuscating here. It is clear that illegal immigration is something that suppresses wages, and you seem to agree. So, do you think that every illegal immigrant that comes to the United States and works should be given a visa, or should they be given a path to citizenship?
I want you to answer to what I just said. I'm not okay with your pivots. Just merely saying it's obfuscation doesn't sufficiently rebuttal my argument. Now, if you'd like me to clarify my
Obviously, if
position
you're going to
because of
spend
a
a
deeper
lot of money
understanding, I will.
if you're going to spend a lot of money deporting people and you're going to lose the tax revenue of those people being in the country, you could make the case, yeah, it doesn't make financial sense to deport them. It makes more sense to keep them, obviously, which is why when I started this conversation, I said you can make the point economically. And when you make the point economically, you wouldn't talk about GDP because GDP is going to be higher the more people that are here, obviously. But, well, not one to one, but obviously more people, more consumption, larger economy. The question is, how does it affect the poorest Americans, which is negatively, and even legal immigration? And I don't mean people that come in legally and become citizen. I mean people that are legally in the United States through a visa. Those people lower wages. When 7-Eleven can hire a cashier for $24,000 with an H-1B, that is a job that it's not going to go to an American, because if they wanted an American cashier, what? They're going to probably have to pay him 35 instead of 24. So illegal and legal immigration are negatively affecting American workers. And the fact that you're saying it's not, because it's just helping.
Okay, I'm going to ignore the pivot of the H-1B because I want to stay on topic. To stay on topic, discussing undocumented migrants in our country, let's consider this. So you're like, the fact that they get paid lower wages on average because of less, power in the workplace to get higher wages because of their undocumented status is bad for poor American citizens. So, what's worse for poor American citizens, right? Offering a higher quality of life to the average American or offering a lower quality of life to the average American? Which one of those two things
A
is
higher
going
one, which
to
will only result from less competition with foreign
if you
people.
now if you'll just allow me to finish. Okay, so you said that if we deport all undocumented migrants from our country, we will have a higher quality of life for the average American. Okay, what is your criteria to make this evaluation? Because every single criterion which I've considered has demonstrated the opposite to be true. Economically speaking, the average American has a higher quality of life if we were to offer nonviolent undocumented migrants in our country a pathway to residency or citizenship. Per capita crime rates are going to be better if we were to offer undocumented migrants in our country that have not committed violent crimes a pathway to residency or citizenship. The GDP is going to be better off if we offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship. The overall amount of federal income on the basis of taxation is going to be better off if we were to offer undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship. So, under what qualifier is the lifestyle or like the life quality for the average American worse, given my plan?
Again, more people means higher competition for native-born Americans to find jobs. So for native-born Americans, if they're here legally and they're competing, yeah, America as a country, it's going to go better. The economy is going to flourish more. Companies are going to have more access to labor. But again, who does that affect? It is going to affect, in terms of jobs, it is going to affect the middle class and the lower income class, because they're going to have to compete with foreigners who will take lower wages, not just because they're undocumented, but also they come from countries where the remittances that they send are worth far more in dollar value. They are richer, even if they're making, half of minimum wage. They are richer in the United States than staying in their home countries. So you're still going to have the issue that they're competing for wages, because someone who comes from India is going to accept a lower wage for an engineering position than someone who went to Caltech, obviously. So the question is, how many people should we let in? Which obviously I'm not
Wait. I disagree with your position, but assuming that you're telling the truth, do you think that we should just stop all forms of legal migration as well? Because if you're saying that undocumented migrants, if they were offered a pathway to naturalization, they'd still accept like lower wages. Well, I mean, aren't legal processes of migration a pathway to naturalization? So, I mean, if you think that we shouldn't offer that to undocumented migrants because of the supposed negative byproducts it produces on your own worldview, do you just think that we shouldn't offer that to anybody ever?
We should offer it to people who we can vet prior to them coming here.
Wait, why? Because it still reduces in that same negative outcome under your worldview.
Of course. I'm not making the case. I'm not saying that.
Wait, so if that's not a reason to reject a migrant coming in through legal process, through legal processes of entry, then why is that a reason to not offer pathways to residency or citizenship to undocumented migrants?
Again, because the fundamental basis is that those are people who broke the law, broke the only law they had to follow to get to the country. When you're entering
exactly. Your argument has nothing to do with what is going to be better for the quality of life of low-income Americans, and it's going to be all to do with breaking the law to deport them all. Also, if you truly did care about low-income Americans, you wouldn't have voted for the guy that has never passed a single policy and which served to the average low-income or just average American overall more so than the top 1%. You would have probably voted for the candidate that tax policy that was going to offer 100 million American citizens in the low and the middle class tax cuts to alleviate financial stresses and burdens set on by the pandemic in lieu of things such as inflation.
More people barely
you act like you care about individuals that are of low income, right? As long as it pushes your narrative of prejudice, bigotry, and anti-American sentiment. But then as soon as you're in that voting booth every 4 years, you vote against it every single fucking time. Like seriously, name one fucking policy Donald Trump has influence to get passed through Congress that only serves to low-income Americans.
That only serve. That's a very good qualifier that you put there. So because obviously it's very hard to find any policy that only helps poor people.
Serves to low-income Americans more than billionaires, proportionally speaking. Yeah, you could take that one too. Just serves to the average American the most. That's all that I'm asking.
Did you see the one that Obama did? Because if you want to talk about Medicare, that completely bankrupted us. Now we run a $2 trillion.
So you're going to go ahead and give me a pivot. I want you to answer my question.
I couldn't name to any politician that passed a law that only affected a group of income workers.
No, I said I helped the average American the most.
I would say that the push for energy production did lower energy costs, which helped lower income people more. I think they felt the difference more than richer people did.
Okay, well, first of all, no. More energy production obviously lines the pockets more of the billionaire.
Well, it decreases costs.
So, one moment, more so than their workers, meaning that doesn't focus on the average American, or else the oil industry wouldn't fucking exist. And then B, we saw a higher push for more American oil production under Biden and Harris. They produce more than Trump ever did. So if you care about what is going to be best fit for the quality of life for the average American, you would have voted for Harris because she's more pro-energy independence than Trump.
Yes, but when you say the average American, there's a qualifier there that ties into the immigration stances that she purported for her career that I disagreed with. And obviously, I'm not trying to say that Donald Trump is a champion of the middle class, but again, you're going away from the point that immigration... So then
why do you act like he is? Why do you act like you care? Why do you act like you give a shit?
Because I do.
No, you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit, or else you wouldn't have voted for him. You definitely wouldn't have voted for the guy with tax policy estimated to cost anywhere between $5.5 and $11 trillion, where 80% of the cuts in the bill go to the top 0.1%.
That's quite a range.
Over the gal with tax policy that wouldn't have added a dime to the debt over the next 10 years that only served to low and middle class Americans. You definitely wouldn't have done that. But then you're like, oh, well, we really need to deport undocumented migrants in our country because of lower bargaining power in the workplace, meaning lower wages, even though there's a better solution which would give them higher wages via more bargaining power in the workplace via pathway to residency or citizenship while still being productive providers.
What's the average tax burden for someone who makes under $30,000?